Welcome to the ACC on ESPN. Today, in the warmth of the Sunshine State, Seminole football shoulders a much-needed emotional step forward as they host the Eagles of Boston College. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick. It's great to have you with us. This afternoon, Florida State will be going for its 27th straight victory as the Seminoles host the Eagles of Boston College. But first, an update on the tragic shooting on campus earlier this week. Here is Janine Edwards.
Mike, very late Wednesday night, with hundreds in the campus library, a gunman opened fire. He injured 2 students and a library employee. Now, one victim remains hospitalized, but the shooter, a 2005 graduate of Florida State, was killed at the scene by police who are being credited with a quick response. Now, Seminoles nose guard Derek Mitchell was in the library at the time of the incident. He was very near the shootings, and he heard a gunshot. He didn't know what it was. Then he saw someone shot in the leg, screaming for police. Mitchell said those moments were extremely frightening and confusing. He and the others were then moved and sequestered in another building until 4 a.m. Now, Jimbo Fisher told his team the next day, count your blessings. Be thankful for every opportunity. You never know what each day will bring. And athletic director Stan Wilcox said, after tragic times like these, it's athletic events that can sometimes help unify a student body and a community. And that is our hope today. Mike?
Janine, thank you very much. And another shooting tragedy struck the Tallahassee area early this morning. A local sheriff's deputy was killed and another wounded in a shooting incident. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved in either one of these tragic incidents. As we return our focus to football, Ed Cunningham joins me now. If you're the defending national champions like Florida State, you get everybody's best shot. They come in and run plays you've never seen, formations you've never seen. They've fallen behind almost every game this year, and yet at the end of the day, they're the ones that win it.
It is really hard to be defending champs. That's the lesson here. But what lesson was learned last year in September against Boston College is paying forward. Down 17-3. Florida State came roaring back with their unknown redshirt freshman, Jameis Winston. And on the last play of the half, after 2 straight touchdowns, he avoids 2 sacks and throws a 55-yard touchdown to Kenny Shaw to put the gas on and run away from Boston College. That was the last time until the national championship game that Florida State had trailed in a game. Now pay it forward. This is the 4th defense this year that Jameis Winston will see after they get an extra week to prepare. Boston College, the 4th team coming off a bye, and a lot of that has to do with those first half stats. The bad news for the competition in the second half, he is still the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, for sure. Last year, Florida State was as dominant a college football team as there had been since the 1940s. The exception, Boston College last year gave them everything they could handle.
And Steve Addazio, the head coach, when you talk to him, he just exudes toughness, and that's what he wants. He wants a power run game. They've been able to get that going much differently this year than they did last year. Last year, they had a 2,000-yard rusher, Heisman finalist in Andre Williams. This year, they get Florida transfer Kyler Murphy in to play quarterback, and they burst onto the scene against USC in a win that nobody expected them to get. And this run game has been able to run against 3 very good defenses so far this year. Louisville, Virginia Tech, USC, all very talented, not quite up to Florida State standards. But this offense has to have all the confidence in the world they'll be able to run it today.
Boston College won the toss. They have deferred. So Florida State will get the ball first. Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher in his 5th year. He is already 55-10. That's right, 55 wins in 5 years. Potentially, he could win 5 more before the season is over if he can take another national title.
That'd be a pretty good deal, 60 wins in 5 years. I'd be happy with that changeover. A lot of people talking about the coach in waiting not being a good system. That didn't work. Well, this is one place where it did work. Maybe it wasn't clean when Bobby Bowden exited, but his replacement, Jimbo Fisher, has done a terrific job.
Steve Addazio, all he has done, he left the Florida program where he was a coordinator under Urban Meyer, part of 2 national championships, went to Temple, rebuilt them in 2 years, moved on to Boston College, already made progress here. they are going to reflect what he is, a tough, no-nonsense coach.
Very much like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, former offensive lineman,
Yes.
former offensive line coach. They will challenge this Florida State defense, but they'll have to wait their turn while Jameis Winston gets his shot first.
Alex Howell will kick off to Kermit Whitfield. Carlos Williams is back there with him. Whitfield last year set an ACC record and was #1 in the country, 36.5 yards of return. Has not had that kind of success this year. And that kick out of the end zone, they'll start from the 25. Jameis Winston, already #5 all-time in the Florida State record books as a sophomore, 6,901 yards passing. Already #3 in touchdown passes with 58. His career record as a starter, he's 23-0.
And what Boston College will try to do, Don Brown, their defensive coordinator, told us they will show a couple of different looks, and they'll try to run under some routes or some quick INTs early in the game.
Carlos Williams gets the start as the tailback. He gets the toss and crosses the 30.
Take a look at our impact players. Rashad Green, the all-time leading receiver at Florida State. Wonderful game against Miami last week. Dalvin Cook burst onto the scene. He had a fumble in the third quarter against Miami, came back and played great. Truman Goodapple has to play well in the middle, and Justin Simmons has to slide to corner from his free safety position with 2 corners out for Boston College.
Winston to throw for the first time. 5 men coming on the rush, intended for Rashad Green, trying to fit it in between the corner and the safety. Green cut off the route, and the pass wasn't close.
A little wet today, and of course Jameis Winston battling a little bit of a right ankle injury. He sprained it against Louisville back at the end of October. So I'm sure just trying to make sure his footing's right. This is a natural grass surface, so it can be a little slick. We've had a lot of rain coming into this ball game.
Blitz coming. Oh, what a catch. O'Leary reached out with the left hand and snared it. Their all-time leading receiver as a tight end gets the first down.
When you study Jameis Winston, the thing you notice is how accurate he is under pressure. He's about to get hit right in the face. He's still able to be forward with the throw it accurately, and didn't throw a fastball. Actually just threw it on time and with some touch, and let O'Leary get the one-handed. A great catch, but that's just supreme quarterback play under pressure.
He will stand in there against the rush. Dumps it underneath to Williams. Up near midfield. It will be a first down after a gain of 12.
And here goes Florida State. They've added in some tempo, going right to the line of scrimmage. They made a change last week. Cam Irving now the starting center instead of left tackle. Rod Johnson came in, the true freshman, at left tackle to start, and they got some great push in the middle of that offensive line towards the end of the game against Miami.
Dalvin Cook, who was so brilliant a week ago against Miami, is into the ball game. Winston steps into another throw and overthrows O'Leary as they send him downfield this time. There are 3 healthy running backs now for Florida State. That's bad news for defense.
Well, especially because Mario Pender is a guy who they say gives the same type of ability as Dalvin Cook. Of course, the bigger back is Carlos Williams, but both Pender and Cook have that extra gear and are incredible cutters.
If Boston College wants pressure, they blitz. Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, says we cannot 4-man rush a dead tree. Here's the delay up the middle, first down and more for Dalvin Cook. He's fumbled in a couple of ball games, and BC says they will go after him, try to strip him in this game. And of course, if you're going to beat Florida State, you need turnovers.
And you see the pistol formation where Cook is actually lined up behind Winston. It's kind of like an eye, more of a straight downhill run game than you see in the shotgun from the quarterback a little deeper. But Cook is just exceptional. Good vision and just explosive cutter.
Cook again off the left side, following his blockers, cuts it outside, inside the 30-yard line. Cameron Irving, the rarity, a center who can pull. You know how hard that is.
Absolutely, but Irving now has to bump back over to left tackle. Austin Barron, who had been out with an arm injury, comes in. You can see the big forearm thing on Barron there, but now Irving has to go from pulling at center. Now he's got to go back to the position he had started 37 games in his career because the helmet of Roderick Johnson came off, so he has to come out of play. Let's watch the snap here.
Carlos Williams back in on a short yardage situation. He gets maybe one. They'll still need a couple for a first down. Stephen Daniels, the middle linebacker, plugging the hole for the Eagles of Boston College. And by Florida State standards, this drive is a quick start.
Yeah, they have not had many quick starts this year. It was funny. They fell well behind NC State before roaring back, and Jimbo Fisher laughed. He said, we actually were up 7-0 in that game, so it just didn't work out for us. But he is very confident in his team, and really just no panic between him and all of the coaches. They've done a fine job of getting these guys focused in the second half.
Two tight ends and a fullback in. Williams will take it outside, first down and more. Carlos Williams still on his feet inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Stevenson, the fullback, threw a nice block for him. Gain of 15 for Carlos Williams.
Well, Stevenson gets to the outside and does a wonderful job. The defensive end got hooked. Kavalik for Boston College, with Stevenson with a terrific lead block.
Tymir Brown made the saving tackle, but it's first down. Williams again. Big hole up the middle inside the 10. And they are going against the teeth of this Boston College defense on this opening drive. They're fourth in the nation against the run. It hasn't been Florida State's strong suit, but they are matching Boston College ability to stop the run, man for man.
A 75, Cam Irving in the middle. That move from left tackle to center has changed the entire dynamic of the inside run game. A big, powerful guy, great hands, long arms. He's just able to get more movement than they had in the center position before.
Winston, nice fake. Throws underneath the wide open Rashad Green for a short game. Ed, the move on that offensive line made them better at center, made them better at left tackle, and I would contend it made them better as a group. Would you
Absolutely
agree?
When I watched the film from earlier in the year to against Miami, especially in that fourth quarter, the middle of the offensive line got so much more push. Irving was able to get up to linebackers and completely swallow them. If you watch Dalvin Cook's last couple of runs, it's moving off of blocks of 75. It really has improved this front quite a bit.
3rd and 4. They need to get just inside the 4-yard line to move the chains. Winston dumps it off. Williams to the 2. That'll be a 1st and goal, Seminoles.
Well, that's 2 plays in a row that Manuel Esprella has come up and made a really good play. He had to fight off a block that time. Williams walks in if he doesn't fight off in the play before. Esprella just did a terrific job out in the flat in space. Nice job.
1st and goal. Williams the deep man in the eye behind fullback Freddie Stevenson. And the left guard jumps off. Josue Matias moved early.
Ball start. Offense. Number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You could see Cam Irving reach over there and tap him on the helmet and say, I'll tell you the snap count next time, big fella. Really, the change that Cam Irving has made, I played the position for a long time, played it in the NFL. A guy who practiced a ton, and he goes in that first game last week against Miami, snapping not just to a quarterback with the hands underneath, but moving with the shotgun snap, and the level of player that Miami has. Just a sensational move, and really, I think, has improved this guy's stock going to the next level quite a bit.
1st and goal now from the 7. So they send in Dalvin Cook, and he'll pick up about 4. Kevin Kavalik, the defensive end, made the stop.
You know, Dalvin Cook is a guy with that ability. Jimbo Fisher earlier this week said some guys have the ability to change the number on the down marker. In other words, get a first down. He said this guy's got the ability to change the numbers on the scoreboard, and he did it in that fourth quarter against Miami after a tough fumble in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, they pulled him out for the entire quarter, let him cool his heels on the bench, and then put him back in at crunch time, and he delivered. Winston in total control on this drive. And it's Carlos Williams, touchdown. Good block by Cook. What an impressive opening drive. 75 yards in 14 plays. They took 6:24 off the clock, and it's one of those drives that's in your face.
Came out throwing a little bit, like most teams have expected with the Heisman winning quarterback, but started to get that power running game. I really think Cam Irving has made a difference in the middle, and this offense will look out the rest of the year.
Roberto Aguayo right between the uprights. He's made 45 out of 45 points after this year, and Florida State assumes a quick 7-0 lead against Boston College. Tallahassee, Florida State takes the opening kickoff drive 75 yards and takes a 7-0 lead. Miles Willis deep for Boston College. Takes it just inside the 5. Willis has a seam, hurdles a tackler, and takes it up to the 27-yard line. They'll start from there. Tyler Murphy transferred from Florida as a graduate student. He has given BC the running threat that Steve Addazio wanted. His 1,011 yards rushing so far, #1 in the country for quarterbacks. And it took him only 9 games to break Doug Flutie's school record for rushing by a quarterback.
Graduate student, so he's able to transfer without penalty, come in and play right away. And the Florida transfer playing for the first time in his career against Florida State for Boston College.
John Hilleman gets the start at running back. He's a big, powerful kid. Takes it straight up the middle, gets to the 32.
Take a look at the impact players for when Boston College has the ball. Hilleman, we just saw a terrific freshman, inside runner, low pads, good balance. Sherman Alston, another freshman that they'll get involved in the run game on the edge, very good speed. Mario Edwards will play everywhere on the field, from defensive tackle to out into coverage, a very good athlete. And Jalen Ramsey may have played the best defensive game in the nation last week against Miami, just all over the place.
It was a magnificent performance by a rising star in the Seminole secondary. Hilleman again, another big hole up the middle. And Hilleman has a first down at the 39-yard line. This is BC's game. They're 11th in the country running the football. They average 264 yards a game on the ground.
And they do a lot of power running, which means the right guard and the center, Gallick and Aaron Kramer, just do a wonderful job on a double team block there. They will try to double up, fit guys, move them out of the way. The Florida State defense said they were more sore last year after Boston College than any other game.
Quarterback faked, and they go into the flat. That's not going to work except for more than a couple of yards to the fullback, Bobby Wolford.
But you'll take that on first down. You'll take 2 or 3. Just be a little ahead of the chains. This is for Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, and Steve Addazio, the head coach, about patience. 2 weeks ago, they had a bye last week, but against Louisville, they felt like they got out of their run game, out of the short passing game. And this really is about staying patient.
Murphy can throw. He's not a one-dimensional guy. He is a better runner than a passer, however.
And they've brought in extra offensive linemen, a big power formation over here to the left.
Willis, the new running back. Willis will get the ball. Finds a hole up near midfield and very close to the sticks. Ron Darby came up from the corner to make a tackle.
So far, Aaron Kramer, the right guard, was a replacement. He's a graduate student, but the normal starter, Harris Williams, is out with an ankle. But big number 70 for Steve Addazio came to play today. That time on the pull. The play before, he got great push, and that time on the pull. He looks already a little winded, had to come around, but he got a really nice block on a play that looked like it was going to go for no gain.
It's funny when people ask, why has Florida State had so much trouble this year, been behind so many times, had to come from behind. They lost 13 players to the NFL off of last year's team. 13 players off the 22. That's ridiculous.
And Jimbo Fisher, when we met with him earlier in the year before the Wake Forest game, he said, I've got a lot of young, great football players, especially on defense. They just haven't really learned the system yet. And you're starting to see, especially in that second half against Miami, you're starting to see that. 3rd and short here for Boston College. They will try some throwbacks. They will try to throw it down the field. Maybe this is an opportunity.
They bring in the 215-pound Hilleman again as the tailback. No wide receivers, 3 tight ends. Quarterback keeper, and Murphy was bounced back initially, then lunged forward again. Look at the side judge coming in. It looks like it is going to be a first down.
It's a little risky. 2 runs in a row. I know you want to have some inside run game here, but 2 runs in a row that you're going big bodies, no receivers. You don't spread anybody out against Florida State. I'm not sure you want to make your hay. I think on that, I think you got to start thinking of maybe a little more spread and some option. They got it, so you can't knock them, but I'm not sure how much you want to just line up with big bodies and see if you can't push around the Seminoles all day. Maybe they can. We'll see.
Hilleman, the deep back. He'll get the carry. And what a move to get outside. He left P.J. Williams standing there grabbing at air. Nate Andrews eventually made the tackle.
Hilleman, when watching him yesterday when I was studying Boston College, he has really good balance. Not great top end speed, but he's one of those guys who shuffles as much as he runs so that he's able to do those jump cuts. Just a very good feel runner for a young back.
Miles Willis, the 5'9" sophomore, is in as the tailback. Murphy has thrown only once a little pass into the flat. Willis to the 40. And that should be enough for a first down.
If you're Steve Addazio right now, you have to be so happy with what this drive is. You just took an absolute punch right to the face by Florida State. They ran it right down your throats. You know you want to be patient with the run game, and you're starting to establish it. This has to be very relieving for the Boston College staff that they're able to establish the run on this drive.
Play fake by Murphy. Throws on the run and has it complete.
That's complete to Darmstadt.
Jared Darmstadt, who is not even on the 4 or 5 or 6 deep for wide receivers, is in there and he makes the catch.
And Florida State had no idea he was in the game.
That makes 2 of us.
Yeah, he's wide open. Little bit inaccurate throw. If Murphy puts that out in front of Darmstadt, that's an easy first down, but you'll take the positive yardage on first down. Good play call on first. Play action, get the quarterback away from the rush.
Second call at 4. Loose ball. Murphy pounces on it. Fullback may have hit it on the way by.
Absolutely did. And it's because it's because the fullback, Bobby Wolford, had to go around the quarterback and then come over to the other side to get to his blocking assignment. And the quarterback didn't get the handoff, the snap clean either. So the ball was already starting to come out, and then Wolford had to go around him and knocked it out. A bad unforced error for Boston College after a good pickup on first.
So now 3rd and long. Seminoles show 5 at the line of scrimmage. Murphy on the option. Tosses it inside to the little guy, Sherman Alston. And Alston will get the first down.
Well,
Alston, all 5'6", 163 pounds of him.
This is that old counter play where watch the left side of the offensive line just completely clear out that side, and then the pitch is easy. This is, remember the Washington Redskins with the Hogs way back in the day? It's all power blocking, and that time Verdero, the left guard, got a ton of push, and so did the left tackle Betancourt.
A new set of downs from the 30. Outlaw, another running back, nothing doing, taking down the line of scrimmage. P.J. Williams, the corner, strung it out and made the tackle.
And now the Florida State defense gets a break on first down. Instead of 2nd and 4 or 5 or 6, now you're at 2nd and a little over 10. And defense coordinator Charles Kelly in his first year replacing Jeremy Pruitt, who left for Georgia. Also coached the defensive backs, now gets a little better call off his card.
Murphy play fake to Alston. Quarterback keeper inside the 25. They'll mark it between the 23 and 24. Nate Andrews another tackle. They'll need about 3.5 yards for a first down.
The inside run game for Boston College looks great. Nothing has really worked to the outside except the throw. Inside, the guards have been getting good push when they're blocking down. I think you do the same type of play here, 3rd and 4, but I think you have an option element of it.
Murphy moves up under center. Fakes the throw to the left, comes back to the right, nowhere to go. Seminoles did a great job of shutting that down. Again, it was Nate Andrews, number 29, who wasn't fooled by the fake.
Well, the kicking game has not been great for Boston College, and I think you're right on the number of whether you go for this field goal or not, meaning the down and distance, 3 yards. If this were 4th and 1.5, I think Adazio goes for it. I don't blame him here bringing in the true freshman Knoll, but it's been everything but a gimme for Boston College in the field goal game this year.
You have been very kind to say what you did about their kicking game. It has been a struggle. Knoll played in only 2 games. He is the best of 3 kickers that they have. He will try from 40 yards. And got it inside the right upright. Nice kick by the freshman. And BC gets on the board. A nice answering drive to Florida State's touchdown. They come away with 3.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by Audi, Truth in Engineering.
It's called the Sod Cemetery when Florida State wins on the road as an underdog, like they did at Boston College. The team captains bring back a piece of the opponent's turf to put outside the gates of the practice field.
What do they do if it's artificial turf?
Good question. Not going to answer it, even if I knew what the answer was. We'll be back after this. The selection committee will have the latest rankings. Find out who's in college football playoff top 25 ranking show Tuesday at 7 on ESPN, and watch ESPN, presented by Chick-fil-A.
Spending some time yesterday talking to Jimbo Fisher about Florida State's rankings, and has a bit of a bee in his bonnet about the selection committee. I don't blame him. The whole talk about game control and seems a bit confusing what really is being talked about in that room, and Jimbo was not happy about it yesterday.
Winston just got rid of that one under some pressure, and O'Leary was covered in the flat.
And, you know, we were talking to Jimbo yesterday, and, of course, they've got to – coaches just have to stay focused to the next game. Boston College, obviously a good opponent coming in, but he really was almost saying we should just go back to the old system. He didn't feel that we've given enough thought into how the playoff is selected.
Blitz coming. They don't get there. Rashad Green up near midfield on a strike from Winston. And that's the downside to that blitz. If you don't get there, somebody is wide open, and Winston found him. A rapidly moving first quarter comes to an end with the Seminoles going for 27 in a row, up 7-3. Welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. Got a good one for you. Boston College at Florida State, 7-3 end of the first quarter. Seminoles with their second possession. They have the ball at the 50. Mario Pender back and healthy. Got the same kind of speed Dalvin Cook gives them. Carlos Williams is more of a pounder as a running back.
And Jameis Winston, of course, the Heisman Trophy winner, the play caller and head coach Jimbo Fisher, a former college quarterback. They're not going to stop throwing it, but you get the sense with Pender back and the emergence of Dalvin Cook and the improvement in the middle of the offensive line that the run game is going to emerge more for Florida State down the stretch.
Winston, a little swing to Pender. Makes the first man miss, reaches the BC 43-yard line. Have to get to the 40 for a first down. Here's Janine.
Well, guys, that's exactly the type of play that BC defensive coordinator Don Brown has been telling his guys to be wary of. He saw those in the first possession. He said, we've got to do a better job setting those edges. They keep going for the perimeter. He's telling them, don't just run side to side. Puncture the route, and don't be afraid to make plays.
Got to contend, Janine, with all that Florida State speed. Winston throws, first down, inside the 40. Complete to the rising star freshman receiver Travis Rudolph, taken down by Tymere Brown. Jimbo Fisher told us about Travis Rudolph the first time we were down here early in the season. Said he is going to be a great player. Had a foot injury at the time, was limited the first few games, but he's really come on.
Penalty flags deep in Boston College secondary.
Illegal substitution. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
They had 12 on the field. They just run off Isaac Yidam, who is confused, thought he was in on the package. Don Brown turning and saying, sorry, Isaac, but you weren't. And that's just one of those mental errors that you give up 5 yards on first down without even trying. Yeah.
Florida State doesn't need the help. Penetration here really messes up the timing of the play. Connor Wojak, the nose tackle, shot through, and Carlos Williams had to change his path in the backfield. Never had a chance.
Wojak and Goodapple have been playing very well this year for Boston College. That time, Wojak knew the snap, got a good jump on the ball, got upfield, and because of the back block by the center, Irvin tried to turn back. He was able to run through and make a play. But the middle of that defense for Boston College has played well, and they just got that yardage back from that penalty.
2nd and 9. Blitz coming. They don't get there. The pass underneath. Rudolph inside the 20 and the 19-yard line. Gain of 19. As we said before, you come with a blitz and you don't get there, somebody is wide open, and Winston is pretty good at finding the wide open man.
And if you're going to blitz, what comes open? The middle of the field, right behind where the linebackers were, and that time Rudolph was standing right there.
Winston, play fake, throws the post. Rashad Green dropped it. Take a picture of that. Doesn't happen very often. The all-time leading receiver in FSU history, and they've had a few here. Bolitnikoff, Warwick, Bolden, Walker, Ron Sellers.
And Green short arms this just a bit. This is in traffic. The ball's thrown perfectly on time. And Green expecting to make that. I think he felt that safety over the top. That ball was thrown perfect and on time, and Green just not able to make the catch after making a beautiful one-handed catch with his left hand against Miami to pick up a first down in the 4th quarter. That one needs to be a catch, but safety was there.
Over Winston's head. He picks it up on the bounce. He'll be taken down. And excellent defensive play by Matt Milano, who comes in and takes advantage of the bad snap.
What an unbelievable turn of events for Florida State. They give up a 4-yard running loss after a 1st and 5. Then Rashad Green doesn't catch a touchdown. And then one of the guys, Winston, if there's anything he has, is great hands. And he drops that ball.
Yeah, he should have caught that.
It's a little high, but that's 2 players in a row, Green and Winston, with sensational hands. Both of them have great hands, and they both drop the ball.
And you know what he's doing. He's looking downfield.
Absolutely.
He's just going to catch it while he's getting a glance at what kind of coverage there is, and just didn't have enough focus. And there's another high one. Sets in the pocket, throws. Complete down to the 20-yard line. They'll still need about 10 yards, but Bobo Wilson makes the catch, and Winston hung in the pocket as long as he could.
Another high snap by Irving. We've seen 2 in a row. Look at the weight transfer on pressure. It is unbelievable how good Winston is at actually transferring his weight when he's getting hit in the face.
Look at the numbers on Roberto Aguayo, last year's Lou Groza Award winner. This will be from 37-yard line. He is just a tremendous performer. Usually it's right down the middle. He brought a little adventure into that. They just ought to give him the Groza Award for this year and next year and be done with it. The Los Angeles crosstown rivalry heats up tonight. Number 9 UCLA, number 19 USC. The Pac-12 South on Saturday Night Football at 8 Eastern on ABC. We're at Florida State, where the Seminoles have a 10-3 second quarter lead on Boston College. Aguayo to kick it away. Miles Willis is deep, and Aguayo booms it 7 or 8 yards out of the end zone. What a thrill ride it has been for Florida State this year, falling behind in the close games one after the other. The opener against Oklahoma State, very, very close. Then Clemson appeared to have them beaten before they won in overtime. NC State was up 24-7. Florida State came back and won. Notre Dame, same thing. Looked like they had it won. They lose 31-27. Louisville was up 21-0 with the best defense in the country. They lost. Florida State knocks off Miami last week. They never had the lead until 3 minutes and 5 seconds left in the game.
And they're used to it. And talking to the coaches and players yesterday, especially Jimbo Fisher, it's now a learned trait. They understand how to buckle down and make big plays when they have to.
Murphy hands it off to Hillman.
But they're going to have their hands full today if first down is going to look like this for Boston College all day. I mean, there's it's about a 7-yard gain, 8-yard gain, and it's all with double team blocking at the point of attack, taking 2 guys and putting them on 1 defensive lineman and then pulling a lineman around to block the linebacker. When you hear people talk about power blocking, that's what it is. It's 2 guys blocking down, trying to get that defensive lineman out of his gap, and then a lineman coming around to hit the linebacker.
Hillman again, this time hitting the backfield and taking down as we check in with Janine Edwards.
And guys, speaking of those slow starts by Florida State, Mario Edwards said to us, hey, if we knew the answer, guys, we would tell you. Head coach Jimbo Fisher keeps saying to us, guys, you can't keep living like this, paycheck to paycheck. And Jimbo has made a few changes. He's asked the players what they're most comfortable with. He's been trying to help with that to get them into a flow early and cut down on some mistakes.
Janine, this is excellent practice for the Seminoles, if you can call it that, because they play for the ACC title in 2 weeks against the Georgia Tech team that is going to give them a lot of these runs too. Charging in, Chris Casher gets the block. He knew he was a step short of getting to Murphy, so he pulled up and timed his jump beautifully.
And if Casher does not get there, Sherman Alston, pardon me, that was number 8, Josh Bordner, who came out and looked like he would have easily picked up the first down. But good job by Casher getting up. Tall guy, these outside linebackers from Florida State, most of them defensive ends that they have cross-trained to play in pass coverage as well.
Low line drive kick. Rashad Green can't get to it. And it dies to the 32-yard line. A punt of 36, 9-11 to go first half. Seminoles will take over, already up by a touchdown.
ESPN College Football is brought to you by Carhartt Rain Defender, for those who outwork them all.
More than 1,100 scientists from around the world have visited the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory on FSU's campus to do research. The magnets are designed and built on site, and they have magnetic fields higher than anywhere else in the world. You've heard the saying that people have a magnetic attraction to each other. If you're in that building, they really do. Jameis Winston with a deep post into BC territory. A perfect strike to Rudolph. 24 yards. Dominique Williams had to make the stop.
It's the same route that they called up to Rashad Green when Green dropped the touchdown pass. Boston College playing the safeties way off. But don't blame them there. That's Dominique Williams. You've got to make Florida State earn it. You don't want them running by, but that's the hole that Florida State has found.
Cook gets a couple and no more.
What a great week last week for Dalvin Cook. He's from the Miami area. He had a hip injury, wasn't able to practice a couple of days the week before Miami. They weren't sure he was able to go. He had that fumble you mentioned in the third quarter and was benched. Came back in the fourth and just exploded He was the offensive player who touched the ball the last 3 plays, a screen and 2 runs on the driving touchdown to win.
Winston, that ball is tipped and intercepted into the hands of Tymere Brown, and he picked it. It was tipped by Justin Simmons, who's been moved from safety to corner.
And Simmons in there because John Johnson, the other corner, out with a broken hand, and Bryce Jones, another corner for Boston College, has been dismissed from the team. And the former corner, Simmons, at 6 feet 3 inches tall, one of the tallest corners with that long reach, causes the pick.
Gives the ball to Boston College. Jameis Winston not happy about it. He has had tough first halves in terms of interceptions, but he didn't think this one was his fault. He's either mad at Rashad Green or he's mad at the official for not calling holding or interference, not sure which. But he was certainly upset with somebody.
Yeah. And we'll go back and look at this last one. Justin Simmons does get the left hand on the hip of Green right here at the end. You see him reach in, but he doesn't change it. They're not going to call that. In college football, you're allowed to make contact. They're just not going to call that. And then Jameis Winston was very upset. But remember, Green had dropped a pass that was for a touchdown earlier. And so you look at those numbers, INTs and TDs flipped in the first half. Well, if Green makes the catch of the touchdown, that may be flipped. But I just think that was good defense by Simmons. That defensive pass interference is not going to be called and shouldn't be called, in my opinion.
Outlaw, the tailback on this series, and cracks straight through to the 45. Ran through an arm tackle by P.J. Williams, the corner, picked up an additional 4 yards.
I think you got a lot of credit to Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, and Steve Addazio, the head coach, who was offensive coordinator at Florida before he became a head coach. This offense was so different last year with Chase Reddick at quarterback and Andre Williams at running back. There's a look at Ryan Day.
And Alex Amadon, who was the all-time leading receiver.
Yeah, big threat on the outside. And now they've gone to a power run game, and they have some spread with option in. They really have made this offense fit, especially when Murphy transferred from Florida.
Outlaw, another true freshman running back, gets another carry, dives forward to the 47-yard line. And right now, Boston College doing a great job being true to what they are and what their strengths are. They're not trying to fool anybody. They're trying to play power football, which is their calling card.
And think about the confidence that Steve Addazio and this group has to have. Last year, they played them tooth and nail. Even when Florida State burst ahead, Boston College came back in that ball game. And now you get the interception you were hoping from Winston in the first quarter, now, or in the first half. Now, if you can convert it, think about all that confidence.
Murphy hasn't run it very much himself, gives it to Outlaw again. He dives into Seminole territory. They'll mark that at the 49-yard line. Monday Night Football, Joe Flacco and the Ravens visit the Superdome. They'll take on Drew Brees and the Saints, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. And watch ESPN. No other night is Monday night.
We have not seen a throwback, or Boston College will try some tricks. They'll try some throwbacks. Third and short, you're on the plus side of the field. You punt it, I think, here on fourth, but I think you could take a chance here if you want.
See if they try to get Murphy on the edge. There was some movement up front, no flags. Now Murphy throws back down the middle, has a man wide open. Shaquem Phillips beat the secondary for 49 yards, and Murphy did a great job of keeping the play alive and finding it. Somebody blew a coverage.
When Murphy went to throw that, you could almost see the panic, right? He said, whoa, wait a minute, that guy's too open. And you could see he just took a beat before he threw it to make sure, I don't want to overthrow this, but a nice, accurate throw nonetheless.
He did. He paused ever so slightly.
You see a guy that open, you don't want to miss him. Not for the Florida transfer who's playing against Florida State for the first time in his career. He certainly didn't want to miss Kim.
So the turnover results in a big touchdown. And the point after ties it at 10. It's another typical Florida State first half. They're in a dogfight. Phillips wide open. It's tied at 10 here in the second quarter. BC and Florida State as we continue Dr. Pepper's championship drive game of the week.
What a big difference the game against Clemson for Boston College that they end up losing by 4 points. They had several dropped touchdown passes in that game. One by Josh Bordner, one by Tyler Rouse, and that one just a wide open one that I'm sure that some of the players were wondering, are we going to complete this? Jalen Ramsey, one of the best defensive players in the late season, just slips and falls. A wonderful move by the receiver, but Phillips just, and smartly by Phillips, his route was supposed to continue over to his left, but then ended up going vertical when he realized that the safety had rolled over the top. But you don't expect Jalen Ramsey to fall down, but like I said, a little different outcome. Clemson into the game, they had a couple drops. That one Phillips is able to reel in.
Phillips, a really unusual case. He started his career at Boston College, transferred to Connecticut, then after he graduated from Connecticut, comes back to Boston College. Rashad Green with the catch gets to the 36, and we check in with Robert Flores.
All right, Mike, Taco Bell studio update. Melvin Gordon's single-game rushing record lasted for a week. Samaje Perine for Oklahoma, running all over Kansas. 427 yards, and they're still playing, Mike.
427?
The spread offenses has changed. You know, everyone wants to talk about how the spread offenses have changed the passing game in football. The real thing that's changed, in my opinion, is the run game. These numbers are going to continue to creep up. 11 guys can't defend 53.5 yards wide, which is a football. That's what we're starting to learn. And the run game, to me, is the recipient of the bigger yards in the pass game.
So we get one 400-yard run game ever, and we get two in the last 2 weeks. It is a game changer. Dropped on a perfect throw by Travis Rudolph.
Florida State's just doing enough to let Boston College hang in here and have some confidence. And I think going back to that interception, I mean, this is just another drop, but going back to that interception by Winston on the play before by Green, give the defensive back a ton of credit, but that ball was thrown on the money. You know, in some of these plays, you know, he takes a little bit of beating for these interceptions, but boy, a lot of this is not his fault early in this game.
Carlos Williams across the 45 to about the 46-yard line. It's going to be very close to the sticks. And they're going to bring the chains in from, no, they are going to say it's first down, no measurement.
You know, you're getting to that part of the half, 4 minutes left, both teams with 3 timeouts. Not that, well, the chain crew got confused on the top side of the field. The chain crew started to come in with the sticks, but the officials had already told them, no, you need to move ahead the next 10 yards.
Well, it appeared one official signaled them to come on the field, called timeout. Then the other official says it's first down, and the chain crew was already on the way.
I'll chalk that up as miscommunication.
They come with a blitz. Seminoles do a great job of picking it up. Rashad Green between the corner and the safety didn't short arm that one, and it was a perfect throw, and Green is hurt. Gain of 22.
Boy, if for Rashad Green to come back, what a wonderful catch. It was the exact catch that he didn't make for a touchdown. But this is a guy, senior leading receiver all time at Florida State. Looked like he got hit on the hand as the safety. Tymir Brown came over.
He was grimacing as he went down.
And I want to give Tymir Brown some credit, number 5. Did you notice he didn't drop his head? He didn't launch into a defenseless player. He had his head up. He hit with his shoulder pad. Unfortunately for Green, I think he took a hard shot on that arm. But give credit to Brown, the safety, for a clean legal hit, and unfortunately for Green, looks like he's in a ton of pain with that right arm.
Yeah, they're going to take him to the locker room. This would be a staggering loss for Florida State for their all-time leading receiver to go out at this point in the year, and they are gingerly holding that right arm.
He is such a difference maker for them on the outside. You almost always have to double cover him on the outside. With him out, you can start rotating safeties now towards the line of scrimmage or cover other people. And now the game plan once again has to change for Florida State, who they're looking at.
Dalvin Cook is back in as he started to pour here in Tallahassee. Mahalik made the tackle. The forecast was for 74 degrees and sunshine, folks.
And instead, they get a team leader, Rashad Green, who has been a vocal leader all year long. And when Jameis Winston has been going through the off-field things that constantly come up, he's been a team leader. So to lose a guy like Green in a game like this, you got to think that if you're in the top 4 of the college football playoffs, not worried about that at this point.
And they are not terribly deep with experienced wide receivers, but O'Leary is a record-setting tight end, and Winston goes to him for a touchdown. 30 yards to Nick O'Leary. And you would expect Jack Nicklaus's grandson to come through in the clutch.
Was the Golden Bear good in the rain? I don't know. He had to have been. He probably played a few.
He's good in anything.
But if you're going to be a tight end and you're going to catch over 100 passes like O'Leary has, the most all-time for a Florida State tight end, you have to understand the middle of the field. You have to understand where the safety is. And O'Leary found a great hole. And, of course, Winston, with his timing and accuracy, makes a terrific throw.
I think it's one thing people forget about Winston. I mean, he has such a big arm. He can make any throw. But the touch he has is just remarkable. Florida State back on top by a touch.
Yeah.
Celebrating its 10th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstat makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. Since 2005, Allstate has contributed more than $3.7 million in scholarship funds.
Quarterback coach Randy Sanders, as he does after every series over there working with Jameis Winston. They talk a ton about what they're seeing, coverage. Winston, a very intelligent man when it just understands coverage, really sees the field well, has a great feel for this game.
Aguayo knocks another one out of the end zone. Let's check in with Janine.
Well, guys, after the slip by Jalen Ramsey that led to the Boston College touchdown, he came off to the sideline and changed his shoes. He put on some molded cleats. He's evidently not getting enough traction. You did mention this is natural grass. We have a steady rain coming down. It's getting very, very slippery. Several Seminoles have taken the visors off their helmets because they just can't keep them clear with all the rain coming down.
All right, thank you, Janine. The elements playing a factor here. Now, what does Murphy and the Boston College offense do with the last 3 minutes of the half? Hilleman spins out of a tackle, still on his feet. Hilleman to the 40.
And I think with Boston College and where they are, there is no reason to change anything they're doing. 2:55 and counting with 3 timeouts. The drop back pass throwing game is not a part of what they do. Tyler Murphy, more of a running quarterback, and has to do it play action. Now you can get some play action now that you've got Hilleman running like this, but you don't want to change. Make sure, though, you don't let too much time come off with some of those timeouts.
Tyler Murphy has not been a factor in the running game. Only 4 carries for 6 yards, and this is the guy who has over 1,000 yards this year, #1 among quarterbacks in the entire country.
But remember, when we were talking to Steve Adazio and Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, they did say they wanted to run more inside run game. With the quarterback, that's an outside option run, and because of the speed of Florida State, they thought we're not going to be able to do much of that, and the inside run game's working, so they're not having to run Murphy as much as they normally would.
2nd and 6. We're down to 2 minutes to go in the half. There's this sweep to Alston. Alston with that great speed, and he better have great speed at 5'6", 163.
But this is a guy that the Florida State defensive coaches, Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator, said #6. He's got the speed like we know. And now Steve Adazio has exactly what he wants going on.
Ooh.
Well, that's not a face mask. You're allowed to put the hand there as long as it moves. Remember, there's no longer a 5-yard penalty, just the 15 if you pull it. So good no call by the officials.
Empty backfield for Murphy. Seminoles come with a 5-man rush. Jalen Ramsey will get the sack. The guy who made so many plays against Miami makes a big one here.
Made a big play at the end on a rush against Notre Dame. Made a big play at the end, like you mentioned, against Miami. He had the interception, but before that, he made a blitz, and this time, because he's 6'2", has long arms, and that's exactly what Jimbo Fisher talked about. Last year, LaMarcus Joyner played this position, but Joyner about 5'9". This guy 6'2", and he said that range has made a big difference as he started to get a feel for that position.
And he was always under control on that blitz, never in danger of going by the quarterback. He just had him measured. They fake the fly sweep. Murphy on the keeper. He's forced out of bounds. Good job by P.J. Williams of staying home and doing his job.
And Tyler Murphy going out of bounds there helped out Florida State. Now you've got 3rd down and a mile. You're thinking field position here if you're Boston College. And now with Florida State, 3 timeouts a minute, 2, because they go out of bounds. They don't have to use one of the timeouts to save some time for their offense. Although up 7 in this game, after an interception, I'm not sure Jimbo would do much if they get the ball back.
He is an offensive coach, though. If he's got 45 seconds, he'll try to do something with it. Big play here for Murphy. They'll go with the draw play. And they reach the Seminole 41. Still about 10 yards, 11 yards shy of a first down.
And why wouldn't Florida State use a timeout here? If you're trying to save clock and you do want to do something on offense with 3 timeouts, I'm not sure. If Jimbo's just going to take this and go to the locker room, then don't call the timeout. But if you want to do something here, I think you would have used it.
And I think they're just going to let it go. It will be an interesting halftime for the Seminoles. The first thing they're going to do is check on Rashad Green when they go to the locker room to see what kind of an injury he has sustained, because that is probably as little depth as they have in any position is at the wide receiver spot. We've got a timeout, only 14 seconds to go in the half. Tomorrow night, the world television premiere of Taylor Swift's new single, Blank Space, plus exclusive performances by Imagine Dragons, Selena Gomez, Jennifer Lopez, and more. The American Music Awards is live tomorrow night, 8, 7 Central on ABC. Punt formation for Boston College. There may have been a discussion about going for it at this point.
The idea with so few seconds that Florida State would still have a long field, but I just don't think you want to give Jameis Winston, if he didn't pick it up, the chance with the ball at the 41.
I agree.
Even with 7 seconds, you could get 2 plays, you know, a quick out, and then you're throwing one to the end zone. So I think it's the right call by Steve Adazio.
Here's Janine.
Well, guys, as you can see, Rashad Green was back out on the field for that play. Terrific news for the Seminoles that he did not have a major injury to his hand, and he's good to go for the rest of the game.
Boy, that was scary, though, Janine. The way they were holding his arm, it looked like he might have had a break in the forearm or a broken hand. And they are breathing a sigh of relief in Seminole Nation right now. And they are also up at the end of the first half. Sometimes unusual this year for the Seminoles. They're up 17-10. Really a pretty good first half for them. Pretty good first half for Boston College, too. They stayed true to who they were. Played the power running game, and they're only down by a touchdown as we will go to the second half. Let's go to Janine.
Jimbo, this is the 6th team that you guys have faced coming off a bye or extra time to prepare. How do you think your guys have done so far, expecting the unexpected?
I think we played pretty well. Offensively, moved the ball really well. Had the one play I thought could have been an interference call, but we got to make the play on it. Other than that, we've scored every drive. Defense, we got 2 good stops right there. They moved the ball early, did some things. They've got a couple wrinkles in. I thought our defense done a good job adjusting. We knew it was going to be this kind of game. Boston College is a good team. We're playing hard.
Well, and they do what they do best, which is the run running game. Any adjustments you guys need to make to kind of limit their yards on the ground?
No, they got 95. It was not too bad. We just got to get a tackle a little bit. We had a couple chances to tackle a little better inside. We got to make a couple tackles, try to win the chain battle on first or second down, put them behind the chains.
Okay, Jimbo, thank you.
Thank you, Janine. At the half, our score, Florida State 17, Boston College 10. When we come back to studio, we'll bring you up to date on everything at halftime after these messages. This is the ACC on ESPN. Welcome back to Tallahassee. 17-10, Florida State over Boston College after 2 quarters. And if you're a BC fan right now, you might say, we got them right where we want them. They're ahead. They're not used to it.
The question is, can Florida State play from ahead in the first half? I think they'll do just fine. But the thing that they knew coming in this game, they've got their hands full with Boston College. They learned it last year when they went up to Chestnut Hill. They were behind early, but they're being tested with the power run game. And now Boston College gets the ball back in this rain. If they can tie it up, you've got to think that Florida State, will that magic run out?
BC will get the ball to start the half. Willis retreats 7 yards deep in the end zone. They'll start from the 25-yard line. Let's see if they change their offensive philosophy a little bit here in the second half. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Very little quarterback running with Tyler Murphy. You had a good explanation.
The edge defense is so good for Florida State. They've been able to run in the middle. Rashad Green with a rare drop and then an interception where Rashad Green, they thought maybe he was interfered with. I didn't think he was, but wasn't able to finish, although with the best pass catching tight end in Florida State history and Nick O'Leary on the scene, Winston was able to find him. Very good news, though, for Florida State. Janine Edwards reporting that Rashad Green is not injured seriously, just a bang on his arm. As he went off, we were concerned maybe he broke that arm, but he was back before the end of the first half.
John Hilleman, who had 46 yards rushing in the first half, loses one here. Derek Mitchell, who was to be the starting left defensive end all year, had to move to the nose tackle spot because of the injury to Niall Lawrence. Sample was in the backfield before Hilleman had a chance to take his first step.
And as Janine mentioned at the top of the show, Mitchell was on campus in the library where there was the shooting early Thursday morning. Was able to be retreated to safety. There was 20 athletes from Florida State in that library at the time.
It would be a frightening experience for everybody. Murphy on the run, hit as he throws. Mario Edwards Jr., 290 pounds, chasing down the quarterback. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, you were wondering if Steve Addazio might change up the offensive philosophy here. He told me no. He said, I think we have a pretty good plan, and we're going to stick with it, attacking the interior and then working play action off of that. He said, but what we do need more of is more touches. We only had 24 offensively in that first half. So the plan, get our defense off the field.
Easier said than done, huh?
Yes, I was going to say, with Winston and that group, okay, give it a shot.
Murphy, empty backfield. Seminoles with a 4-man front. A couple of linebackers creep closer. Movement up front. Murphy on the run. Would have enough for the first down. Now we'll check out the penalty.
Well, Florida State was definitely in the neutral zone. The question is, did someone move? The center I've noticed a lot, Andy Gallick, when he brings his head up, he kind of jerks.
Offsides. Defense. That penalty's declined. Results of the play, first down.
But I've noticed Gallick, he head up and then he points. And as he came up, the defense was moving. And I've seen Gallick do that the entire game. It's no different than he's done the entire game. However, I did think earlier in the game, you know, if he draws them off, I wonder where they'll call it. And that time they call it on the defense. Not sure if you couldn't call the center there.
Got 12 yards on 3rd and 11. Outlaw has no chance, and the Seminoles have gotten penetration on a couple of plays here to start the second half. But they has obviously changed something here in the third quarter.
What it looks like to me is that Charles Kelly and his defensive staff are starting to move the defensive line a little bit. They play what's called a lot of two-gap technique, which means the defensive line kind of squats down and plays heavy and tries to mirror the offensive line. What it looks like now is they're shooting into gaps and using their speed to get away from the power of Boston College.
Another loss on the running play at 2nd and 12. Fake the fly sweep one way, go back with the same play the other way, and nothing doing. P.J. Williams, the corner.
Watch the technique by Williams. Excellent job. You hear about players play with your eyes up. What a wonderful form tackle. That right there, you should just frame it and say, here's what you do. You lower your pads, you keep your head up, and you fire through it. And just before that, Williams did a wonderful job keeping his balance when a big lineman came out to try to cut him down.
Sunk his hips and just exploded into the tackle. 3rd and 11. Good protection. Murphy throws underneath. And there's the big play again from Jalen Ramsey. He was right there to break it up. You could tell last week against Miami that his physical skill and his knowledge of the game came together. He knows exactly what he's doing out there.
Let's see if this is a catch. Looks like maybe the ball was moving. No, I think they'll keep that as a catch. Not a fumble. Obviously, the runner was down, but not a fumble. Good call by the officials.
So a good defensive stand by Florida State. Rashad Green obviously well because he's back on the punt team.
Whistle was blown before the punt.
The wording on the field, the runner was stopped based on forward progress. Replay cannot review this. 4th down.
Well, so on the fumble before, well, the catch and then fumble before, because the receiver was coming backwards, his forward momentum stops, and so the play is technically dead. To me, that's just, I don't know how you call forward progress dead there and don't review it. I don't think it was a fumble, so I don't think it matters, but that one a little befuddling to me that you wouldn't be able to review that because you're saying his forward momentum stopped. Of course it stopped. It was a physical tackle right at the spot.
That sounds like a bailout to me. 53-yard kick. Back in a moment. Crosstown rivalry heats up tonight, and they're playing for more than just pride this year. Number 9 UCLA, number 19 USC. A couple of pretty good quarterbacks in pivotal showdown. The Pac-12 South, Saturday Night Football, 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Seminoles up by a touchdown takeover at their own 8-yard line. BC shows blitz, trying to get some penetration. And Dalvin Cook takes it out to about the 8-yard line.
We've been a bit remiss, Mike. We haven't said hello to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who have a bye.
They're watching?
They have a bye this week, and the hay is in the barn. Duke lost to North Carolina big time Thursday night, so Georgia Tech will play Georgia next week from the SEC and then take on Florida State in the SEC championship. And we were talking to Jimbo Fisher yesterday. Of course, Georgia Tech with a power run game and option, a very good quarterback in Justin Thomas. Said, who would you rather play, Georgia Tech or Duke? And he wouldn't answer it, but his face told us he would rather play Duke in the championship, I think.
Congratulations to Paul Johnson and his kids. Jameis Winston throws to Cook, takes it out over the 20, kept the play alive, very patient, and gets the first down.
Flag on the play. We'll come back and check that when we're done. But St. John Days, the former quarterback, has moved to that fullback position. So key, and he's had just a couple of monster games. Justin Thomas can really throw. DeAndre Smelter.
Hands to the face.
So we have a personal foul against Florida State. But Justin Thomas is a really dynamic player. We had a chance to meet with him last week before their big win against Clemson. And that game against Georgia Tech, of course, Florida State has to now play Florida at home, an emotional game with Will Muschamp coaching his last game. So that's going to be a tough one. In-state rival. They had a tough game against Miami last week, an in-state rival. A tough game here against Boston College. They go to Georgia. They go to that championship game in Charlotte. You just can't lock that in, I don't think, against the Yellow
Georgia
Jackets.
Tech proved if you beat Clemson, you can beat athletic teams. That goes without saying, and that's what they put on the table for that. Winston under pressure, working on a bad ankle. He is not as mobile as he was last year. It limits him.
And he really looked slow. Look how gimpy he is a bit. And he's a taller guy. He's lanky, so he doesn't run as smoothly as a shorter guy, but he just doesn't look the same. That right ankle, yeah, he can't cut on that leg. You can see right there that is still bothering him. Again, he's not the most athletic quarterback, but he can run a lot faster and a lot more nimbly than that.
So it brings up a 3rd and 9. Be a huge stop for Boston College. They can force a punt here and get good field position. Four-man rush. Winston with a player behind him, avoids him, dives out to the 16. Needed to make the 18. So they will have to kick it away. Josh Keyes helped make the play.
And Winston just does not look comfortable out there right now. Pretty good. Oh, boy, and very lucky there. Josh Keyes.
And then he got up woofing about it.
And that's not targeting. Keyes did not go in and launch into the head. He did not lead with the crown of his helmet. But that certainly was helmet-to-helmet contact. Not a penalty. But Winston just doesn't look like himself.
And Boston College will start from its own 38. Jameis took a shot, able to get up and shake it off. BC ball down by 7.
ESPN College Football is brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and Goodyear, chosen by experts for superior performance. Goodyear, more driven.
Everybody knows Burt Reynolds is an actor, but he planted the spear here this afternoon at Florida State because he was a running back with the Seminoles. Came here in 1954 on a football scholarship. Injuries limited his career, but he came back today and was a roommate of our own Lee Corso. You can imagine how many stories those two guys have to tell.
5-yard penalty, still first down.
Burt now 78. It's hard to imagine. Had the best laugh of any actor in the history of Hollywood.
Of course, he was a quarterback in the longest yard. Still pretty good arm.
Yeah,
getting that spear
for
in the
sure.
ground.
1st and 15 after the penalty. Murphy gives it off to Hilleman. And they have been able to attack the middle of that Florida State defense.
I mentioned as Jameis Winston came off, he didn't look like himself. He had taken a hit to the head. I didn't want to imply that potentially Winston was concussed. Everything we saw when he went to the sideline when he got up, he did not look concussed. I meant that he didn't look the same because of his right ankle injury. But everything we've seen from Winston, he did not look. It was a good hit to the head, a legal hit, but he didn't show any symptoms. So just wanted to clear up that comment. But he does look gimpy on that right ankle. You could see on that last drive just not able to get out of harm's way as quickly as he normally does.
He is a tough customer, though. Alston on the fly sweep. Hammered as he got to the 48-yard line. That should be enough for a first down. Mario Edwards Jr., who outweighs him by about 140 pounds, made the stop.
Mario Edwards is pretty intense for a 290-pound guy. There he's lined up his defensive end. Good play call by Boston College, got the edge, but Edwards, who has junior because his dad was number 15 here at Florida State as well.
They do it again. Now it's a double reverse, and Bordner, who used to be a quarterback, is going to throw off of it, intended for Alston and just off of his fingertips.
And Jalen Ramsey got away with holding. They're going to call, there's a flag in the backfield. But Jalen Ramsey absolutely reached out and grabbed Charlie Callanan as he ran by. Very lucky, Ramsey is.
Personal foul, roughing the quarterback, with targeting. Defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down. By rule, this play is under further review.
The reason it's under further review is because with targeting, you get ejected, and that's targeting. No doubt about it. Wow, that's just a bonehead play by Matthew Thomas. Late, leaning into the head, contact initiated and forcible in the head and neck area, and this is what this rule is made for. This is absolutely what this is made for. It's the forcible contact to the head or neck area that you clearly saw there. Targeting is defined by launching or leading or throwing your body. Instead of going in to make the tackle, you're actually trying to run through and cause harm. And so the replay will look at it and say, was it targeting? If it wasn't, they'll overturn the ejection. Now, you got to remember, this is in the second half, so Thomas will miss the first half if this is upheld against Florida next week. This is a young man that missed some time with an ankle injury, but one of the young linebackers they really think the world of here.
Well, he had actually worked his way into the rotation last year and had a shoulder injury. He's a redshirt freshman. He should be thrown out of this game.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Player number 7 is disqualified from any further action.
And you know, there is a lot of talk about this rule, and Clemson had a call a couple of weeks ago that they didn't agree with, and when you looked at it, it was close. Should they have ejected him? This is why this rule is in place. You can't do this. We've got to get it out of the game. Well officiated, well called, and I think that this right here is the reason that you have ejection in the game.
He had plenty of time to pull up and not take that shot, but he did.
And remember, number 7 won't be able to suit up or come out on the field for the first half against Florida next week.
It's a big penalty because it moves it inside the 40. Miles Willis takes it down to the 30-yard line. He'll pick up 7 yards.
And Dan Crimmins, who is watch the left side of this line as it just gets completely hooked. Every guy is hooked on that end. And that's the one thing, Mike. They weren't running outside Boston College in the first half. They were piercing the middle. And now as the defense gets a little more tired, you see all the hands on the hip. They're having a hard time getting off on the edge block as well.
14 of BC's 29 runs have been good for 6 or more yards in this game. Now Murphy goes for the end zone. Tremendous coverage. Callanan tried to draw a flag, but Ronald Darby was just running the pattern better than he was.
Well, and the fans, I think, want the penalty on Callanan.
Yes.
Because, as you said, Darby is running the route here, and I think you should call that. The defensive player has position. Callanan clearly goes in to disrupt the arms of Darby. I think that should have been offensive pass interference. I agree with the fans here.
And on the previous play, when they got the edge, there were a couple of good holds, too, that they got away with.
It's only holding if they call it.
Said by a former offensive lineman. Murphy on a high snap. Still has room to run. And for one of the few times Murphy takes off, gets down to the 20. Bordner threw him a good block.
This is just really good. Here comes Bordner, but watch the block down on this side. They're just blowing up that side. Nobody is home. I don't. If I'm Boston College and I'm Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator, I would continue to challenge the right side of this defense for Florida State. They are being washed inside every play to that side.
And it looked like Desmond Holland, number 11, did him a big favor. He just crashed down and left that whole side open. When you have a 3-4 and a defensive end comes down inside when he shouldn't and leaves a 10-yard hole in the defense.
Well, this is just this is a misread by a young running back. If Hillman stays on his track, there's a 5-6 yard gain. It's exactly what Boston College wanted in the young running back bouncing. And there's a running back coach telling him, stay on your track.
Yes.
Don't bounce it outside. Now, this is a young man. He'll get it, but the left side of Boston College's offensive line is taken over. The young back's got to stay behind him.
Some good-looking freshmen. Quarterback keeper Murphy, 5, touchdown. Tyler Murphy, nice fake. really sold it, and it's so much better because that's the play they've been running all game.
And you mentioned the defensive end coming inside. That time it was DeMarcus Walker who just sparked all the way down inside, number 44. Watch how far he comes down inside. And that, because of the motion, because of the turnover, just a terrible read by DeMarcus Walker. He looks to me like the guy who's got the quarterback. Well, he wasn't taking the quarterback there.
And then there's nobody home.
And I think it was that shift late that brought the safety over, and then DeMarcus Walker comes down and nobody's home. The right side of Florida State's defense was just tattered during this drive.
BC gave the Seminoles fits last year. They're doing it again. This game with playoff implications. We have a 17-17 tie. The third-ranked Seminoles going for their 27th in a row in a dogfight as we continue Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive Game of the Week. Now let's take a look at this week's rankings brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
The confusing one, I think, for most people around the country when they saw Oregon ahead of Florida State. Oregon, of course, lost to a 20-plus point underdog in Arizona earlier in the year. And when we were meeting with Jimbo Fisher yesterday, he was pretty irate about how the system, you know, this whole idea of game control and everyone talking about who controlled what game. And I agreed with Jimbo that it just sounded like a bunch of people talking about football instead of watching it and really analyzing who's better. I hope, and I've said, I hope that they're actually watching film and studying teams and comparing them.
Winston, perfect throw to O'Leary up to the 48-yard line. A strike. I have read about game control. I understand what they're trying to do. To me, it's like baseball sabermetrics. I understand it. I don't appreciate it very much.
Well, I just don't like the idea of a bunch of people sitting around a conference room saying, well, they controlled this part of the game and not that. If they're not looking A and B teams on the screen and literally looking at the offensive line and the defensive line and the receivers and how they play every day, how they play as a group on defense, if that's not what they're studying, we've got to rethink this committee if that's not what they're doing.
Winston hangs in the pocket, drops it for Williams. He's forced out of bounds at the Boston College 48-yard line by backup middle linebacker Sean Duggan.
And to go a little further in that conversation, one of the things that the committee has said, they want to be more transparent than the basketball committee. But unfortunately, I think what they're doing is they're causing some confusion because they come out every week and talk about some different things that they look at that you're not sure what they're looking at. And they actually got some heat from the basketball community this week who said, we're not football. We don't want to know. We don't want to know what Oz is doing as they're picking our team.
Winston fakes the toss, gets it to Dalvin Cook.
This was before the last snap. He's trying to get this. And
oh, that's priceless.
Right, and
says,
because
come on, I got a play to run.
But Florida State had substituted, so the officials were giving the defense the time that they are allotted to change. So that was good officiating.
Nice catch by Green. Really stretched out in traffic to snare that one.
And Jameis Winston saying, hey, they had a hold of his jersey. I don't know if they did, but that was a snatch. We saw Green drop a pass for a touchdown earlier, and then he got hit really hard in the arm, went off the field, went into the locker room in the first half. Good for Seminole fans to see him back.
Florida State has come out throwing on this drive, and now Cook inside the 25 to the 23. First run on this drive.
This Florida State team.
Oh, no, Leary's gimpy.
Boy, he is. And O'Leary took a big hit at the end of the game against Miami. He had a terrific block on that play on the edge. But he got whacked at the end of the Miami game, hit his forearm, got hit in the head. He was okay, but they said he was awfully sore after that ball game last Saturday night.
Blitz coming. Green ridden out of bounds. He wants a flag, so do the fans. Manuel Esprilla, the corner. Looked like a lot more than hand fighting on that pattern.
Remember, the official who calls this, yeah, you got to call that. Every time.
It's something. It's either illegal contact or interference.
And the field judge there throwing his hat because the receiver was going out of bounds. He should have also been grabbing his flag. That was, in my opinion, clearly defensive pass interference on Aspria.
But as you said earlier, if they don't throw the flag,
it's not a penalty.
Florida State fans are going to disagree with that interpretation. Pressure coming again. Winston in trouble. Somehow got out of there and threw it as he was going down. Had a receiver in the area, so it's not going to be grounding. Strezak with pressure on Jameis Winston, who is limited by that sore ankle.
And what a good save of about 7 or 8 yards for your field goal kicker. And not that Aguayo really needs it. He's the best kicker in the country. But Winston, and this is something that Boston College learned last year, they missed 5 sacks on him because of his strength and his ability to stay up. And that time, you're right, Mike, he flipped it back, but there was a running back standing right there and saved all that yardage for Aguayo.
Aguayo from 40s made it from 37, and this one drifting left, and Aguayo misses the 3rd of his career, just outside the left upright.
A little bit of a high snap, it looked like, from Stephen Gabbard, who's a true freshman. Ball got down by Beatty, the punter, but foot and a half to the left. Beatty, the holder, did a pretty good job getting it down, but it was a high snap to start. And let's not forget how much it's been raining here, so wouldn't be surprised if Aguayo's foot slipped it a little bit when he planted.
That is the first time he has ever missed here in Tallahassee. And a big break for Boston College with 3:36 to go, 3rd quarter. Crowd in a frenzy right now. The power running of Hillman picks up about 7. We check in with Robert Flores. Robert.
All right, Mike, Wells Fargo getting it done. Western Carolina 0-13 all time against FBS teams ranked in the AP. They're hanging with #1 Alabama. Touchdown run there by Tyron Jones. Tide are opening things up. They lead 38-14 at home.
Robert, no such breathing room for the Seminoles. And a first down for Boston College. They take it out to the 37, and we check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, I can tell you that Boston College's offensive line came off the field after their last possession absolutely gassed. They were exhausted. But you know what? They're invigorated, too, because they know that they have got Florida State right where they want them. They've been talking about it the last few minutes. We've got to dig in here. We've got to fight. And Tyler Murphy saying, this is the fist fight, guys. This is where I need you the most.
Janine, adrenaline is wonderful stuff. Murphy to the flat and got it complete to Robert Wolford, who makes his 32nd catch of the season.
Wonderful play fake there. Able to get Wolford out into the flat.
Excuse me, I misstated that. It's his 5th catch of the season
32.
for 32 yards.
32 would be a lot for a fullback. Good catch.
Yes, it would.
I was just buying it.
I sold it as well as I could. Outlow hit in the backfield to Marcus Walker on a blitz.
Well, this is the exact same thing Walker did on the touchdown earlier. Now, this time you can see there is a man who would have the quarterback. Last time there was not a man on that side, so this time 44 able to slant down inside and make the tackle that he was trying to make on the touchdown a moment ago to Tyler Murphy.
3rd and 5 with the clock ticking down here in the 3rd quarter. It's as loud as this crowd has been all day long. Murphy with 4 wide receivers. Alston fakes the fly sweep. Murphy dropped the ball. They had an opportunity to convert on third down, and he simply dropped it.
Yeah, Murphy, I think, tried to get a little greedy here. As he was riding the option, he just continued to hold that ball in there instead of handing it to Alston. Oh, no, he went, and we saw that earlier. He bumped into the fullback and fumbled it, but Murphy that time, as Alston is going by, faking, this was going to be a run, and they had it set up. The entire left side, like we had seen before, had done their job, and Murphy unfortunately fumbles it.
Needed to have better ball security there. Rashad Green takes the punt and returns it for 5 yards. Monday Night Football with Joe Flacco and the Ravens visiting the Superdome to take on the Saints and Drew Brees. It all starts at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, and watch ESPN. No other night is Monday night. I thought that was a big possession for Boston College.
And unfortunate for them that another unforced error cost them. I think that was a first down play. It was exactly what they wanted. They collapsed the right side of the line again. They had a polar ceiling.
Can't give the Seminoles the ball. That time Green had a knee on the ground as he made that catch, making sure he secured it at the 38.
And a rare inaccurate throw by Jameis Winston. This one a little low, and making Green stop. Otherwise, Green easily picks up the first down and maybe more. Green very good in traffic. Almost took that one-handed catch at the end of the game against Miami for a touchdown after making a defended miss.
Cook with a big breakout run across midfield. Brown pushed him out of bounds, preventing further damage.
Well, excellent cut. Yeah, Nick O'Leary on the edge just got great movement. That ball was supposed to bounce outside. O'Leary's guy had jumped to the outside, and 35 just kept chugging his legs and got really good push.
This presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Florida State came into this game with an unblemished record, 10-0, undefeated in the ACC, but they've been down at halftime 5 times. Not today. They trailed in the fourth quarter several times. Jameis Winston, much better numbers in the second half, especially in the interception department. Right now, Winston has them at the BC 42-yard line, 1st and 10. Blitz coming, spins out of the way. Flag is down. Winston still on his feet, getting everything he could. Looked like Roderick Johnson, the freshman left tackle, may have been called for a hold trying to protect Winston.
Holding, offense, number 77, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And it is Johnson.
Terrific job so far today by Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, calling pressures. You said at the beginning of the game that he told us with just 4 people rushing, we can't pass rush a dead tree. So he's brought a 5th or a 6th guy, and that time clearly the true freshman holding on Josh Keyes, the outside linebacker. But Don Brown doing a terrific job, one of the best rush defenses in the country. He knows he can't get much pass rush. He's down 2 cornerbacks. He had to move a safety over to corner, so the only way, they said, look, we may get beat one-on-one, but we're not going to let Winston stand there and pick us apart in zone coverage.
Here comes another blitz. Winston steps up and then goes down. Almost got back to the line of scrimmage. Wojak and Mahalik had pressure. Wojak number 90, Mahalik 99.
Looking at the struggles that this offensive line has had against this defensive front and the immobility now of Jameis Winston, he just doesn't look like he did earlier in the season with that ankle. It's going to be tough sledding next week against Florida. Will Muschamp may be going out as the head coach, but he's going out because of the struggles on offense. There have been no struggles at Florida with Will Muschamp as the head coach.
2nd and 20. 6 men at the line of scrimmage for the Eagles. They bring 5. Good blitz pickup. The post and incomplete. Cameron Moore was with Jesus Bobo Wilson, but Winston put it on the money.
Terrific job by the freshman Moore. He was a little bit out of position. This ball floated just a touch, and that's a catch that it would have been a tough catch. But that's like we saw Rashad Green on that exact same route miss it. And that was a terrific throw by Winston. Pretty good coverage, but that ball was dropped.
And great blitz pickup by Darwin Cook, too, to give him a chance to make the throw. Three-man rush this time. Winston floats one incomplete. Another catchable ball. Erman Lane had it in his hands.
That's at least 3, if not 4, just clean drops by Florida State.
Sure is.
And talk about a big turn of events here. You mentioned the last drive. The arm was hit right there a bit by Goodapple. But this is a ball that has to be caught by Lane. And Florida State doing just enough to let Boston College feel like, you know what, we might be able to win this thing.
Beatty floats his punt to Alston. Nice kick by Beatty. Puts it out of bounds inside the 10. A punt of 44 yards. Jameis Winston putting the ball on the money and getting nothing for it. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Now for today's Aflac Trivia question. When was the last time BC defeated a 10-0 team? Done it more than once.
November 22nd, 2014, perhaps? That's today.
That would be a heck of an answer to the trivia question, wouldn't it? Murphy on the keeper. And the nation's leading rushing quarterback gets out to about the 11-yard line. I'm going to have to go back and guess that it was over in Notre Dame.
Yeah, Boston College in the early 90s, they seemed to have Notre Dame's number when Notre Dame was streaking towards national championship.
Made it a habit.
Yeah, so I'll go with you. Early 90s Notre Dame. And they're looking for another one here today. What a gigantic win this would be across the entire landscape of college football because of the playoff, but for Steve Adazio and his staff, especially in rebuilding Boston College.
Seminoles getting penetration and toss. Miles Willis down inside the 10. Mario Edwards Jr., 288 pounds, comes on the blitz or on pressure.
Unblocked, and that's what you do in the zone read. You usually leave that backside defensive end unblocked, and Edwards, who plays all over the field, standing up at outside linebacker, great vision.
Just a mountain of a man. He moves speed and mobility.
Yeah, I was going to say, he moves a little too smoothly for a guy that big.
3rd and 13. Conservative call. They hand it off to Marcus Outlaw, who breaks it. They were just trying to get some running space. And he breaks it for 20 yards.
And it looked like Nate Andrews, one of the safeties for Florida State, may have landed awkwardly on the sidelines as he went over to make the tackle.
And we've got a timeout with 11:59 to go. 4th quarter in a tie ball game.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed.
That's the FSU Museum of Fine Arts. It gives the space for students who are graduating with advanced degrees chance to display their work. And it looked like Nate Andrews, who's had a terrific game, got kicked in the face. Back to live action, and BC, another carry from Marcus Outlaw.
Well, that was a big miss. Watch number 26. Excuse me, right out here. That's Andrews that I circled on the top, but that's P.J. Williams, and a big holding call now for Boston College. But P.J. Williams gets stuck on the inside, which allows Outlaw to go by. And then right at the very end, just a horrific chin down on the heel of Outlaw as it came up. And Nate Andrews came over to the sideline. They were tending to his chin area. But now a big penalty for Boston College after a long run. But that was P.J. Williams, the junior cornerback who went to the inside. That was going to be a 4th and long if he makes that.
Sure
Boston
was.
College is punting from their own end zone, but because he got sucked down inside, a new set of downs for the Eagles.
Now after the hold, it backs them up 1st and 14. They mark off the hold from where it occurred, so it only turns into a 4-yard penalty. Hillman trying to get to the outside. Powerful runner, and takes it up to about the 28-29 yard line.
Well, Steve Adazio, the former offensive lineman from Connecticut State, where he played in college, has become a run-based coach. He did it at Temple. He's now doing it here. He did it as the offensive coordinator at Tim Tebow at Florida. But in their wins, they have had massive rushing numbers. And today, much of the same, creeping towards 200 yards. And it's the whole reason they're in this ball game. They've been able to keep Jameis Winston in that offense, which hasn't been great, off the field.
2nd and 6. That ball is on the ground and picked up by the running back. Looked like the Tyler Rouse, the running back, came up with it. It appeared to hit either a pulling guard or the center's leg.
Well, I know it slipped out of his hand. Yeah,
just
slipped right out of his hand. Yeah, I've been there. I was a center. I had to do shotgun snaps. It's a wet day. You've got a million things going on. You're playing against a bunch of guys who are going to play in the NFL next year, probably. And so for Gallic, the last thing you want is that ball to slip out. And
so it's a huge 3rd down, 3rd and 7. With 10-11 to go in the game, it's tied at 17. Murphy. Pressure coming. Out of the pocket. Murphy, 1st down, got out of bounds. What a great hustle play by Tyler Murphy.
This offensive line for Boston College, and Janine gave a report earlier that they were just worn out and tired. Give them all the credit in the world. This is terrific blocking. Nobody was open. Just not the speed Boston College needs on the outside to get open, but this offensive line has played really well this afternoon.
1st down at the 37. Fly sweep, Alston. Trying to get outside, and does. Got everything out of it he could before he took his 163-pound frame out of bounds.
Florida State's defense right now cannot get off blocks. Niles, there's Ramsey again with the face mask. That's close. Earlier we saw if you don't grab it and turn it, they don't call it anymore. There's no more 5-yard incidental. But right now, the guys in the maroon jerseys, every one of them is being blocked. You expect that they have an athletic advantage. This part in the game, it's gone. They're being blocked time and time again.
Alston has had fly sweeps of 16, 10, and 9. They run him across the formation, give it to Outlaw up the middle. Just shy of a 1st down. Perhaps it will be 3rd and inches.
You got to put this in perspective for Florida State. They've won 26 games in a row. They're headed for a chance at another national championship. They have a team with 6 wins coming in Boston College. Good win earlier in the year against USC. Good win against Virginia Tech. But it's still a middle-of-the-road ACC team.
Nothing has been easy for the Seminoles this year. And the difference in the game, one of 3 misses from your field goal kicker, who was the best in the country. He's missed 3 in 2 years. Won the Groza Award last year. Is the favorite to win the Groza Award this year.
And with a run-based offense like Boston College has, Jameis Winston, the guy who won the Heisman last year, doing nothing but sitting and getting cold and wet. What do you think about a run-action pass here, maybe?
Be a heck of a time to call it, wouldn't it? But remember, they curse themselves for getting away from what they are earlier this year. And now BC is going to use one of their timeouts. That would tell you they're going to run it. The gambler in Ed says they're going to throw it. Trivia question, which was, when was the last time BC defeated a 10-0 team? It's a watershed moment because we both got it right. It was number 2 Notre Dame in 1993. They had beaten number 1 Florida State the previous week to take over the top seed, but only for 7 days. 3rd and short. BC grinds it out for a first down with 8.5 minutes left in the game. This is a huge drive with the clock running. 8:22. Longest streak in the FBS. They haven't lost since November 24th, 2012.
And all the college football playoff early conspiracy theorists now dialing in for this game.
Willis trying to get to the outside, driven out of bounds to stop the clock momentarily at the Florida State 48-yard line. Second and 7. Murphy, quarterback draw, another first down near the 40. Let's check in with Robert Flores.
All right, Mike, Dr. Pepper, conference update. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Arkansas snapping their long conference losing streak last week with a win against LSU, and now they're leading Ole Miss. This is Rohan Gaines, the interception of Bo Wallace. It's 27-0 Arkansas, 3rd quarter in Fayetteville. Mike.
What a late season run for Brett Bielema and his guys at Arkansas. Clock becoming a huge factor here, Ed, under 7. Run Alston across the formation, give it to Outlaw. And Outlaw inside the 30, another first down for BC. Nate Andrews back in the ball game, injured earlier, made another tackle. He's in double digits.
And if Andrews is not there and not in this game after taking that incredible chin hit from Outlaw's heel earlier in the game, that's a touchdown. But boy, is this clock starting to tick away. And Florida State, they're getting beat. I don't know how else to say it, but on defense right now, 13 straight runs for Boston College. They are starting to carve up the Seminoles.
BC's offensive line has been terrific. Outlaw again, this time swallowed up by the middle of that defense.
You know, you go back to the bye week we were talking about for Florida State, that they have faced 4 teams coming off of bye weeks this year, including Boston College. And Steve Adazio said that a big part of what he did in that break was give his guys 4 days off. That's so much time to give off during the season. So you think here in the 4th quarter, Florida State last week had to play a night game at Miami, an emotional game that they came back in the 4th quarter, come back for a tough week of practice, and Boston College looks like the fresher team at this point in the 4th quarter.
2nd and 9. And this is a direct snap to Bordner, the wide receiver. He's throwing back to Murphy, and he almost had it at the 2. So we knew they'd have some trick plays. This is the 2nd pass Bordner has tried in this game. This was a throwback to Tyler Murphy. They almost had it.
Just a little bit late by Bordner making the throw back across. Bordner was a quarterback before switching. And Brutus right there, but I mean, you could say the guy should catch it, but he is a quarterback going up with 2 defensive backs going up to make the play. I like the call. I don't think you feel comfortable about the field goal here. You got to make sure you pick up 3 or 4 yards if you're BC.
Murphy, quarterback draw. Seminoles smelled that one out. They were having no part of it. Eddie Goldman, the defensive end, and Terrence Smith, the middle linebacker.
And they bring out Alex Howell, Boston College does, instead of Mike Knoll, the true freshman. They said Howell was a guy who was going to kick longer field goals, but Howell, a guy who was only hit 5 of 10 on the year.
It's been a struggle.
Yeah, so if Murphy could have picked up another 3 or 4, you think this would be easier, but and Murphy has to switch sides because Knoll is a left-footed kicker, so real confusion here for Boston College, and they're running out of time.
This is the very edge of his range. Drills it, but wide right. Field goal kicking, such a huge part of the game. We have had big misses on both sides. That's a story in itself with Aguayo missing. But Howell kicks this one to the right. We are still tied 17-all. Number 9 UCLA plays host to 19th ranked USC in a big showdown in the Pac-12 South tonight. Saturday Night Football, 8 Eastern on ABC. There will be a lot written and said about BC's decision to try the trick play, the throwback to the quarterback Murphy on 2nd and 8. But you're here trying to win. They make a decision. That's the best shot they had.
Well, you were getting 4 or 5 yards a run, and it was there. The pass was there. A little late. Murphy couldn't quite make a play, but the way they were running it.
Carlos Williams reversing his field, looking for a block. Got the edge. Out of bounds at the 35. Jameis Winston not afraid to stick his face in the fan. Got him a block.
But I think you're right. Ryan Day, the offensive coordinator for Boston College, if he went back, as we take another look at Williams keeping the play alive. But you've got to think, if you're a coach, you go back and you call a play, it looked like it was going to work. It wasn't. You go to 3rd and 8 instead of maybe 3rd and 3 or 4. Second guessing, of course. But
Winston to Cook in the flat, makes 2 guys miss. Trying to stay on his feet. They said a knee was down. He didn't like the call.
No, his elbow was down. Looked. Let's see right there. Yeah, he's down.
Knees aren't down.
Doesn't matter. Elbow's down. He put his elbow on the ground, so he's down right there.
One elbow equals 1 knee. Is that correct?
You can put your hand. As soon as you get into the wrist or forearm or elbow, you're down.
Cook again. Remember at the end of last week's Miami game, Cook was the guy who handled the ball in the clutch and made the big plays.
Last 3 plays on offense against Miami, a screen to this young man, 2 long runs. One of them became the go-ahead touchdown. And this is a position this team has been in so many times this year. And you remember, you go back to last year in this Boston College game, down 17-3 early, came roaring back. So this is a team that has built a habit and understands what it means to be in this position.
Last-second thrills, no surprise to anybody. Williams comes back in the ball game to get the hard, short yards. Up to the 48, Mike Strizak made the tackle.
And I think what Jimbo Fisher is saying right now with 2:58 and counting left, I don't want to throw unless I absolutely have to. I want to eat as much clock. And even though Aguayo missed a kick today, he doesn't care about that. Aguayo's best kicker in the country. He'll go right back to him. So right now, playing a very conservative play call, and I don't blame Jimbo Fisher.
Green. That'll be a first down at the 40. Rashad Green, who left the field injured early, picks up 11.
Terrific job staying alive by Jameis Winston. He was looking towards Jesus Wilson on the long route, who was essentially tackled. I'm not sure how defensive holding was not called, but Winston keeps the ball alive, and he does such an amazing job of keeping his eyes down the field while he's moving.
Flags are down at the line of scrimmage.
They get Cam Irving his 2nd career game at center.
Ball start, offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Had a man flying at him.
Just gave it a little, right. Oh, no. Snapping it too early. Can't say enough about what Irving has done, though. Switching from left tackle, he had started 37 straight games there. Then they moved him into center as Roderick Johnson, the true freshman, came on at left tackle and made a wonderful transition.
Blitz coming. Winston hangs in, throws, down to the 30. That's going to be close to another first down. Rashad Green. And if you're going to cover Rashad Green with one guy, he's going to go to him every time.
And Boston College right now playing safeties off a little bit. They're going to try to make Florida State earn this. But if you leave that much cushion for Jameis Winston, when he starts getting into a rhythm like he is late in a ball game, he's going to pick you apart.
And Rashad Green just broke the all-time yardage record. Cook made a man miss, shakes another tackle to the 21.5-yard line. Seminoles just eating up yards, eating up the clock.
Watch a perfectly timed blitz by Stephen Daniels, the middle linebacker, who gets nothing but air. It's really unbelievable how good this young man Cook is once he gets the ball. Completely unblocked guy in the backfield, jukes him, picks up 9.
He'll get it again. Cuts off the left side, then back to the right. Shows you some power down to the 15. In the interim, the clock is just ticking away, and Boston College can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think BC's got to start thinking about those 2 timeouts. Obviously, you don't want to do one here on first down, but at some point, well, here comes Boston College calling timeout. And I think this is a good timeout. Not only stop the clock, their defense needs a break right now.
You're absolutely right. 54 seconds left on the clock, tied at 17.
I'm Robert Flores with this update brought to you by AT&T. Let's go inside the headset. Wisconsin may have put away Iowa. Melvin Gordon touchdown run makes it 26-17. Something must be wrong with Melvin Gordon. He only has 183 yards.
It's another off day, Robert.
Well, he's mad. His record was already broken. I think if you're Florida State, no reason to hand the ball off here. Get it to the middle of the field and maybe kick it on third down with time on the clock.
BC cannot stop the clock.
And now if I'm Florida State, I would get this down to about 10 seconds, call a timeout, and I think you want to kick it on third down. The reason being, you'll have another timeout. If there is a bad snap or the holder can't get it down, he can down it. You can call the timeout, you can run it. So surprised that Florida State's even running an offensive play here.
You saw Jimbo saying timeout. Winston almost dropped the snap. Gave it to Dalvin Cook.
And that's when
and Jimbo is telling the official, I called timeout.
Watch as Winston comes out of this. The ball was short-armed a bit by Irving. You know, we talked yesterday to Jimbo Fisher about the talents of Jameis Winston, and he talked about how great his hand talent was, his ability to feel the ball and to grab it. If Winston doesn't have great hands there, I'm not sure that that ball does not end up on the turf. I'm really shocked that Florida State chose to run a play on third down instead of trying to kick it on third down in case there was a mistake with the snap and the hold. But it looked like Jimbo Fisher was maybe trying to get a timeout before that play.
You could, if you could read lips, you could see he's saying, what else do I have to do? I call timeout.
Well, and which would have made sense. A little surprised that they ran the play there, and boy, did they get lucky that Winston was able to hold on to that snap.
Aguayo comes on for a game winner from 25. Now they'll make it 26, 27. He's hit a 37-yarder, missed from 40. Roberto Aguayo makes up for the miss. And the Florida State Seminoles so accustomed to tight games.
And give an MVP award to Kason Beatty, the punter holder. Watch how high and outside this snap is. It's a wet turf, a wet ball. That's a great hold. We saw Beatty with a high hold earlier on the miss by Aguayo. This time, the punter comes through for his mate. A snap that was not perfect was put down perfectly by Kason Beatty.
Got it down with the laces out. And the Seminoles continue to dance on the edge.
And do you know how much it will matter if they are 13-0 at the end of the season?
Not much.
Absolutely not. But remember, there is a seeding in the playoff, and that's pushing things forward. Florida State still needs to beat Florida next week at home, a very emotional game.
Then Georgia Tech.
With Will Muschamp in his last game, a coach that the players like and will play hard for in their in-state rivalry. Then they play a very good 9-win Georgia Tech team. But if they win out, the question is, if you're 1 or 4, you're going to Pasadena, where they won the national championship last year. If you're number 2 or 3, you're going to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, which would be a much better deal for people here in Tallahassee than Pasadena.
And Jimbo Fisher still talking to officials on the sideline saying, you know what, I called timeout on 3rd down.
Well, if I were him and I called timeout and I saw my quarterback almost drop it, I'd still be telling the officials about that as well.
3 seconds left. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And boy, what an interesting afternoon this has been. FSU working on its 27th win, an ACC record, a school record, longest in FBS. Rashad Green late in this game broke the school record for receiving yards. He had already broken the record for catches. And Aguayo, the first miss he's ever had in 2 years at home. But he kicks what appears to be the game winner. This pass over the middle, incomplete, and that's it. 27 straight for FSU. A Herculean effort by Boston College. They nearly get the upset on the road.
Wonderful showing for Steve Adazio and his group. They're going to a bowl game this year. You can see Jimbo Fisher right there shaking his head. And for Boston College fans, unfortunately, they're going to have to start hearing about their head coach being a candidate for the job at Florida, because if the Florida Gators want to go out looking, I don't know that they'll do better than Steve Adazio. No knock against Boston College, but if the Gators come calling, a place that Adazio coached and won a national championship, I'm sure there would be a conversation.
All right, here's Janine with Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo, you guys have been in some real dog fights this year. How does this one stack up?
Well, this is as good as anybody. I said Steve does a tremendous job with those guys. They did a tremendous job with all the quarterback run, the preparation. Defensively, we moved the ball well the first half. Then we got penalties and had a drop route right there. They only had 3 possessions. We didn't get the ball very much till the last drive, but we made the critical drive when we had to make the drive and got the stop down there when we had to get the stop.
As a head coach, what is it like coaching in a chess match in a game like this?
Well, it is. You don't have time to realize what you're in because you're constantly having to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to play it and how the clock runs. And, you know, I can't say enough about our kids, how they compete and still keep their poise and be able to make plays when they have to.
What was the toughest thing about what Boston College was doing offensively? Because they are sort of similar to the offense you're going to see from Georgia Tech.
No doubt. I mean, well, they're not a true option, but they run the quarterback. It just speed sweeps, unbalanced. I mean, they do a great job of keeping mixed power, counter, and the quarterback run on top of that, and it's very difficult. That stuff. And the thing you do, when they do it, you don't get many possessions on offense.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on a hard-fought victory, Jimbo, and 11-0 this year.
Thank you.
We keep hearing you can't keep playing this way and keep winning. I would disagree.
Well,
they're 11-0. They've won 27 straight.
And, you know, for Boston College, of course, going home, tough one. You go back to that 2nd and 8 when they were on the drive where the clock was running. It looked like they had control. They decide to try a trick play at that time. It was open and dropped. You wonder if you go back at Boston College and say, boy, 3rd and 3 would have been nice the way we were running the ball. But they called the play. It was almost there. Give them credit. But you're right. This team for Florida State has really figured out a way to make the plays when they have to, but they don't panic. Nobody ever freaks out. They just continue to chop wood.
They are clutch. Once again, our final score, Florida State 20, Boston College 17. From Tallahassee, Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching, everybody. We send you back to the studio.